Farmers' challenges. In the late 19th century, American farmers were no longer self-sufficient, and agricultural production was aimed at supplying the growing markets in American cities and towns. As food prices began to fall, farmers faced financial difficulties as their costs remained high and debts piled up. In this video, we will examine the challenges farmers had to face and how social and political organization was crucial for farmers to meet those challenges. The problems of farmers, 1870 to 1920. During this time, most farmers found their incomes steadily falling. Dropping food prices were at the center of this crisis. But why exactly were crop and livestock prices dropping? Let's see. The causes of the crisis faced by farmers included agricultural overproduction, international competition, the scarcity of money, the profits of middlemen, high shipping costs, high costs of manufactured products, farm debt, and the cost of money. Agricultural overproduction. The main reason for the drop in prices was overproduction. The opening of the Great Plains increased the number of acres cultivated, while improvements in technology and new machines also increased agricultural productivity. Greater production meant cheaper prices, and cheaper prices meant less profits for farmers. International competition. As steamships, railroads, and other infrastructure expanded, producers and consumers were better connected, making an international market possible. Wheat growers suddenly faced competition from Canada, Argentina, Russia, and Australia. Prices were kept low by competition. And this, of course, meant lower profits for local producers. The profits of middlemen. Farmers often needed middlemen to connect them to urban markets. Producers sold their crops to brokers at low prices and had to pay exorbitant rates to grain elevator owners for storing the grain. The services provided by middlemen increased the costs faced by farmers, lowering their profits as well. High shipping costs. Railroad shipping rates to urban centers, as well as the cost of grain elevators, were extremely high. Farmers often paid lower prices for long hauls or freight transported over a long distance than for local or short hauls. While there were only a few companies or even monopolies providing the service for short hauls, competition kept long hauls cheaper and more accessible. Individual farmers were too small to negotiate better rates with railroad companies. Shipping products to urban markets drastically increased the cost for farmers, who again saw their profits decreasing even more. The high cost of manufactured goods. Tariffs made manufactured goods more expensive. At the same time, industrial monopolies kept prices high. Farmers had to buy these products at high prices. Kerosene, fertilizer, farm machinery, clothes, furniture. Tariffs are taxes on imported products. High tariffs protect the local industry. Consumers will switch to American-made but more expensive products. Let's take the example of this hat. While a hat made in France would cost $4, the same hat made in the United States would cost $5. If the government imposes a tariff of $1.50 on hats coming in from France, then French hats will now cost $5.50, and consumers will buy American hats that only cost $5. This will increase costs, because instead of paying $4 for a French hat, we are now paying $5 for an American hat. And every time that our costs increase, we are lowering our profits. Farm debt. Farmers had taken loans to buy land, make improvements, purchase machinery, or just to survive if harvests failed. Farmers had used their land as security for loans most of the time, at high interest rates. Farmers had many problems and had no chance of paying off their debts. Foreclosures became common. A foreclosure is when the bank seizes property. In this case, the farms of those farmers who could not pay. The scarcity of money. During this time, there was not enough money in circulation. The government had stopped minting silver dollars, and there had not been enough gold discoveries to circulate more gold-backed dollars. Since there was not enough money circulating, the prices were kept low. Low prices, of course, meant lower profits for farmers. Natural disasters and rural isolation. Moreover, farmers had to face additional problems like pests such as boll weevils, a beetle that affects cotton production, droughts or lack of rainfall, and the psychological effects of rural isolation. The Grange Movement. In 1867, the Grange Movement was started by Oliver Hudson Kelley as an association of farmers and social club to break rural isolation and to provide education and information for farmers. Grangers organized picnics, lectures, and social activities. In only 10 years, there were around 1.5 million Grangers. Grangers hoped to solve many of the farmers' problems by replacing the middlemen, forming cooperatives, buying supplies such as fertilizer, machinery, and other manufactured goods in bulk to get discount prices. Most cooperatives, however, were not successful. Organized farmers quickly turned to politics. In the Midwest, Grangers elected candidates to their states' legislatures. These states passed laws regulating railroads and grain elevators. In Munn versus Illinois, a grain elevator owner challenged an Illinois Granger law as a violation of his right to private property. The case went before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court upheld Granger laws regulating grain elevators as constitutional, since that facility serves the public interest. Things took a different turn in Wabash versus Illinois. In this case, the Supreme Court ruled that states cannot regulate railroads that operate in more than one state, since the power to regulate interstate commerce belongs to Congress. Many Granger laws were invalidated as a result of this ruling. Congress responded to that ruling by passing the Interstate Commerce Act of 1887. This law regulated railroads and prohibited giving different rates to different customers for the same distance. It banned pooling or price-fixing agreements among railroad companies. It also prohibited the practice of charging more for short hauls than for long hauls along the same route, and finally required railroad companies to publish their rates. Farmers had generally seen railroad companies as abusive intermediaries, and government regulation in the railroad industry was a big victory. Additionally, Congress set up the Interstate Commerce Commission as the federal agency to regulate all trading among states and railroad companies. The Populist Party, 1892 to 1896. The Farmers' Alliances, association focused on local politics, formed a new national political party, the People's Party, better known as the Populist Party. The Omaha Platform of 1892. In 1892, the Populist Party had its national convention at Omaha, Nebraska, nominating a presidential candidate and drafting the party's platform. Their program favored the following reforms: the free and unlimited coinage of silver, the direct election of senators, government ownership of railroads, the use of secret ballots, a progressive income tax, an 8-hour workday, and restrictions on immigration. The Panic of 1893. An economic collapse was blamed on the lack of money, which at that time was backed by gold. The scarcity of money drove prices down, affecting producers. Bimetallism. Populists argued that the free coinage of silver would increase the money supply and help prices recuperate, helping the economy to grow again. The populist campaign greatly focused on the issue of free silver coinage. The issue of free silver divided the Democratic Party. William Jennings Bryan, who supported the free and unlimited coinage of silver, won the Democratic Party nomination in 1896. At the Democratic Convention, William Jennings Bryan delivered his brilliant Cross of Gold speech, denouncing the banking interests for negatively impacting farmers and for attempting to crucify mankind upon a cross of gold. Rather than dividing the free silver vote, populists decided to nominate William Jennings Bryan as their candidate too. The Populist Party came under control of the Democratic Party and lost its independence as a separate party. William Jennings Bryan would not win that year's election. Republican William McKinley won the election after receiving massive financial support from wealthy industrialists.